Why, Heidi ho. So, message for today. It's one big club and you're not in it, as George Carlin used to say. It's one big club and you're not in it. All this crap going on with the elite, Epstein, it's all a distraction. So anyway, George Carlin was right in a lot of ways, but he was also wrong. You are in the club. So, you were indoctrinated to believe that the club has a right to own you. So it covers everything from the bankers to the politicians, mayors, judges, and it's an international thing. It's not just one portion of the land, it's all over Haaretz, all over God's great farm that Ari Mahava created. So anyway, it's one big club and you're not in it is wrong because it's one big club and we are most definitely in it. So we and our children sit on the dinner plate and they feed off of us because they need us to sustain life. Because they're wicked men and women. Not just men, but there's women involved in all this too. And it's not just about sex and exploitation of sex. It's exploitation of currency, your sweat equity, your liberties. So the banks are being exposed in the banking industry, and the whole caboodle is all. So on this portion of land, we have the Bill of Rights, and now they have what's known as the International Covenant or the International Bill of Rights. And everything in the American Bill of Rights is pretty much in the International Covenant and the International Bill of Human Rights. And what they are doing is trying to strip away your dignity and your human rights, your rights as a man or a woman living on the land, and replace them with UCC codes and trust law and United States codes. And it's a big, sick club, and they feed off of us. So you go to a bank and you want to open an account, and the bank tries to tell you that you have to have state identification. They've been pushing this stuff for a long time, so it makes it easier for them to push digital ID because they've already pushed you into using their Social Security trust account for identification, which was never meant to be for identification. So it used to say right on a Social Security card, not for identification purposes. So in the last, oh my goodness, 20 years now, over 20 years, I've been doing a lot of research and UCC codes and trust law and United States codes and international laws. And so anyway, I've run across a lot of very wise men. And I'm not going to say all judges are bad, because some actually are decent men and women. They've just been led astray. We'll say that. Some of them are just as doctrinated as some of us. But I learned from one judge about banking. And banks receive letters from the United States, which is a Title 28 corporation. And they are told that they have to ask for certain identifiers. So they are required to request. And I've said this many a times, a request is not a demand. So anyway, this particular judge, he pointed that out. A request is not a demand. You can't demand somebody use a Social Security number as identification. You can't demand somebody use the Gregorian calendar. You can't demand somebody use a driver's license to travel. You can't demand somebody get a marriage license to have a union with a man and a woman to be united. That is all trust law. That is all United States codes. Those are not godly. So anyway, that is the issue, is these are men who worship at the altar of Hasatan, Satan. So I've said it before, so it's a lot of them are in the Frankist ideology and they follow Frankism. So they believe if there's a big war, it's going to bring about HaMashiach. So HaMashiach can come in one of two ways, either through a devastating war or through us repenting and doing a tikkun, which is a rectification, or in a bad way. And they're trying to bring HaMashiach in a bad way. And ultimately it comes down to creating issues with everyone around the world so that everybody's fighting. And it's a sick ideology. It's a very sick ideology. So they believe in a lot of a lot of sick things. I've looked into it and it turns my stomach, some of the stuff I see. But anyway, so we have to ask ourselves, ultimately, through my years of studying and research and soul searching, it comes down to a trespass. What am I doing that is trespassing against another man's rights? A man's right to his freedom, a man's right to his privacy. That's what it comes down to. So it doesn't matter. Every man that wears a nom de guerre, a war name on his chest, and that's called a nom de guerre. It's a war name. It's an assumed identity like Rambo. Every man needs to ask himself, do I have this right to trespass against this man, and why am I doing it? And it's always for gain. You don't have that job because you love it. You have the job because you're receiving compensation from the very individuals who created Little St. James, Epstein's Island. Those same individuals, those same judges and prosecutors and attorneys and a lot of people in law enforcement, what they call law enforcement. And the key word there is force, enforcement. So you're forcing people by compelling them. And it has to do with they have control of the media. So they say, you know, you got to have a driver's license to travel. You got to have a fishing license to forage for food. You got to have a hunting license to forage for food. You got to have a marriage license to unite with a woman or a man, depending on who you are. But anyway, so that's the message. Not to downplay the young ladies that were harmed and possibly young men that were harmed by these wicked individuals, because it's traumatic, the things they've probably seen and done and gone through. And the big picture is the hands that came together and shook. The perverse hands, the bankers and the courts and the, you know, so the judges and the attorneys and the police that may have been involved, and CIA that may have been involved, and Mossad may have been involved, and, you know, people from every level of authority who believe they have a right to rule over others. So anyway, it's not one big club and we're not in it. It's one big club and we're the actual food that's sitting on the plate, because they live off of our sweat equity. They live off our children. You know, if it wasn't for the Pope believing that he could capture people's souls by putting their footprint on a piece of parchment, you know, we all know about the Roman Catholic Church and what they've been involved in the last few years. It's not a big secret. So anyway, that's the message for today. God bless. Much love.